Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on another edition of DAX Machina. We're very happy to have you all with us here tonight, and we're happy to have each and every one of you as part of the DAX Machina Nation. Thank you guys for being with us. Joining us tonight in the studio is Robbie Rip Rains and Carrie Pocket Doc Davis, my brothers from another mother. Steve couldn't be with us tonight. He had to work, but Steve's still feeling a little bit under the weather, so y'all keep him in your prayers. And just so y'all know, tonight's show is dedicated to Ranger. He's deeply missed by Doc, and we'll all miss hearing him gas Doc out, and Doc having to spray Ozium to stay on the air.
I'm gonna miss the old crop duster, that's for sure.
Well, he's up in heaven, crop dusting God, waiting on you as we speak.
Yeah, he is.
So, everybody, Doc's been struggling with it, and we've been there for him. We've been calling and texting and letting him know how much we're there. But his loss is going to be felt for a long time. And
that.
And again, tonight's show is dedicated to Ranger.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Hey, it is my pleasure. So, folks, we're going to be talking about. I've gotten a couple of emails over the last couple of months. People asking, "What do I look for? How do I know if I've got something like a Bigfoot creature or even a dogman in my area?" And we're going to be talking about that. But we're just kind of easing into things as we sometimes do, and we just appreciate each and every one of you guys. I just wanted to make sure we reiterated how much we appreciate all y'all and all the support we've gotten with the channel, and how much you guys being with us means to us. Robbie, how you been, brother? I heard you had kind of a rough day.
Yeah. And one of them transports come in at like 10 minutes or 20 minutes till 5. Relief don't get there till 5:30, so pretty much stuck with an hour drive to pick somebody up, an hour drive back. So that put me about an hour and a half overtime. But
well, it's always nice to get overtime, but not like that.
No. Yeah. Especially when I got to put it in. I got a voluntold overtime coming in on Saturday. I got to work 12 hours on Saturday because a bunch of people who got Jeeps want to drive around in the city and show them off. It's called the Jeep Explosion. I'm not a fan of Jeeps right now. Sorry if anybody drives a Jeep.
Dude, I ended up teaching a class down in Florida in Daytona Beach during truck week. Holy crystal meth, Batman. I'm going to tell you what, it was, I hated it. I'm like you, Robbie. I hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially, you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, but it happens on Saturday. So it's in the middle of your days off. So I've got to do everything that I've got to do instead of splitting it up between Friday and Saturday. I've got to do everything on Friday. And one of my best friends' 50th birthday is on Friday night. So, and it's in Spartanburg, which is about an hour and a half away. So I'm not going to get to enjoy his birthday party because I know I've got to leave early, right, to drive back because I got to be at work at 7:30 in the morning, work all day. And that's why I told her, because this thing goes on. I said, I'm leaving by 7 because I know we got the show. And I told the lieutenant, I said, I'll give you 12 hours. That's it. I'm leaving at 7. I don't care if it's over or not.
Good for you, man. Good.
Well, it kind of helps when both the lieutenants, I trained them when they got into law enforcement. So even though they outrank me, they don't outrank me.
Well, it's kind of like a first sergeant and a second lieutenant, in the Army.
Yeah.
Homie, top's got a little bit something on the butter bar. You know what I mean? So, and to those of you in the chat who have been giving me well wishes, thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all. That's very, very heartfelt, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
Well, boys, I think to kick this thing off, if people are wanting to know whether or not they've got some sort of cryptid in their area, I think the first thing we should talk about is habitat. What about you?
I think it's a good start. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I think any whether you're talking cryptids or big game or even like deer hunting or hell even squirrel hunting. If you're looking for any kind of game whatsoever, and cryptids will definitely fall into the animal category when it comes to this. They've got to have certain things in their environment to keep them around. If you live in a very arid area with little water, you'll probably see them passing through, but they're not going to stick around because all animals require food and water. And that first and foremost, is there an ample year-round water source in your area? Now, that's to me, I think that's the biggest thing
Yeah.
because a
Yeah.
lot of things take place either right alongside major water sources or rivers.
Yeah. They've got to have, I mean, it's the cornerstone of survival. I mean, maybe not fire, but they've got to have, food, water, and shelter. I don't know what they do about fire. I mean, I'm sure some of the more advanced tribes probably do fire, but the cornerstones of survival are fire, water, food, and shelter.
Mhm.
So
If you're walking around in a fur coat, you may not need the fire.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they've got to have at least the other three. We'll call it the cryptid triad of food, water, and shelter. And how many people have we talked to on this show that we've talked about the migratory patterns? What are they following? They're following a food source. And where does their food typically go to? Somewhere they have water.
And food.
And so where they have shelter. So I think that's a very solid theory right there.
I mean, and it doesn't have to be a Great Lake or a major river.
No.
If you've got a spring-fed pond that never goes dry, that's a water source. And you can go down. I know when we had the pond out in the field out in Battlefield, you could go down there, and it was spring-fed. You could go down there in the dead of winter, and at the mud at the edge of the pond, you'd find deer tracks and possum tracks.
Absolutely.
As everything in the area came there for the water source because it was spring-fed, it never dried up.
Yeah.
So
My buddy Patrick lives up in Sheridan, Wyoming, and they have a pipe they've driven into the mountain. Oh, I don't know, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, whatever, but it's from a spring-fed, it's a little aquifer there. And he said, you go up there, you just put your 5-gallon jug up there and get your spring-fed water, but there's animal tracks all over the place.
Oh yeah. Animals are going to follow the food and they're going to follow the water.
Yep.
If there's a plentiful food supply, then chances are there's a plentiful water supply somewhere. So if you got the food, you're going to have the predators.
exactly.
Because they follow their prey right there to the food and water source.
And whether or not you believe Bigfoot is a carnivore or an omnivore, and I know we've kind of talked both directions. Well, I think Gugway are probably more carnivore than omnivore, but an animal the size of a Bigfoot is going to be much like a black bear. It's going to be eating things almost constantly.
Yeah,
It's not going to eat. It's not going to sit down like us 3 times a day to a big meal. It's going to eat when it can while it's moving.
Yeah.
So you're going to have your browsables. You're going to have berries. You're going to have like muscadines, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with. I know you guys are, but I know folks are familiar with what muscadines are. It's basically a wild grape.
Swamp grapes.
Muscadine jelly and muscadine pie is pretty
wine.
good.
Muscadine wine.
My grandpa used to make that.
Mighty fine, Clark.
It's mighty fine. Yeah.
That'll cool things down and heat it up at the same time.
That's for sure. But we've talked about this so many times on a lot of other shows. They're just like any other creature out there. They're opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So like you just said, man, they're omnivorous. They're going to get what they can. Look at bears. When they're getting ready for hibernation, they're eating everything that ain't nailed down.
Right.
Roots,
grubs. Yeah, and there's a ton of not only protein, but a ton of nutritional value in grubs and worms. And that's a food source that shouldn't be discounted. I mean, granted, that's not something that's going to be on a go-to for us on a menu. But Doc and I have both had survival training. Grubs and worms are a very good source of survival protein.
I've eaten both.
I've eaten grubs, but not worms. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, worms taste like dirt, but grubs, believe it or not, y'all, they're a little. It's like a cream-filled cashew pastry.
It's crunchy and a little runny at the same time.
God. Yeah.
But once you get past the initial, then you could like,
yeah.
You want to load me up on some more of that there, Clark? It is good.
It is good.
Yeah. And the green.
Yeah. If you can choke it down, man, it's nutritious. But the thing is, that's what they do. They're not like us. They haven't had, some Pizza Hut pan pizza with a stuffed crust. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To them,
they don't have a sophisticated palate.
They don't have a sophisticated palate. They may, to them, grubs may be a delicacy, but they're also
bears eat the hell out of them.
Oh, absolutely. They're very nutrient dense, man. Very nutrient dense. So there's their habitat right there. So they've got to go to places where they can have food and obviously water. But what's the other thing? Shelter.
Right. Are there caves in the area? Are you finding lean-to structures?
Right.
And another one to keep in mind, and this is one the Native Americans used a lot, and so did our early pioneers. Are there large evergreen trees that they can get in under the boughs of?
Absolutely, because those are shelters in and of themselves, man. You can shield yourself from snow. We were taught that in survival school. That ground will be 100% dry, and it's
naturally occurring shelter is
Yeah.
That's the first thing you look for in a survival situation. What do you not have to expend a lot of energy to do? If you find something naturally occurring, that's less energy, less calories you have to expend on building something and not blowing out your
and these are the true survivalists, man.
Right.
They've got to be calorie aware. And so they're going to have that energy expenditure, like Robbie was just saying, they got to worry about. So they're going to have to go somewhere where they have ample shelter. And if it's naturally occurring, even better.
And, what's the rule of 3? It's 3 minutes without air. I can't remember the whole
3 days without water,
3 days without water, 3 weeks without food.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I know some people who have gone more than 3 minutes without air, but that's neither here nor there. And they're still here. But the shelter thing is huge because not only does it allow them to have shelter, it allows them to remain hidden. Because what are they? They're cryptids.
Right. Well, that's one thing I always check if I go into an area and there's a lot of evergreens is I try to push back some of the branches and look to see if anything's been bedding down under there because deer will use those too.
Mm-hmm.
They just push back under those branches. That's a natural shelter for a lot of things.
Yep.
When I used to play airsoft, I used to hide under them and shoot the shit out of people because they never looked.
It is very advantageous if you're trying to hide.
Mm-hmm. And, if you're out hiking and the weather turns nasty, I know they say you shouldn't be under a tree during a thunderstorm, and I wouldn't be. But if you're just trying to get out of the rain, evergreen tree make a great shelter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we did our winter survival up in the Canadian Rockies, and that's one of the things they showed us was those big fir trees they have up there,
Mm-hmm.
Those evergreens. And they're like, dude, get up under here. You'll find good tinder, because everything's dry. So you're solid.
And another good thing to bear in mind is if you can get underneath a cedar, it's natural bug repellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's medicinal properties to the bark.
And if you're under a juniper, the berries.
Mm-hmm.
And
they make gin out of juniper berries.
If you're there long enough, if you're there long enough, you can make some gin out of it. So
I don't want to make no bathtub gin. I don't like gin as it is, but
no, gin makes me sin. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Poncho asked a question to me, but I think that you're more apt to answer that one, Doc. He said, "How long would a grub live in your stomach if you swallow it whole?" That's more of a
It's
medical.
not long.
Just a matter of seconds, man, because you think about this, man. Your gastric acid is stronger than like sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid, so it's not going to live long at all. Its tortures will be short lived.
Got
Yeah, pretty much.
Once it hits stomach acid, it's pretty much done.
Yeah, this invisible fire is burning me alive. Yeah,
please don't let the invisible fire burn my friend. Here we go again.
There we go.
Don't you bring that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
So what are some other food sources that I know it varies from region to region, but what are some other food sources that people can look for that might indicate a possible food source for these things?
Natural tubers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the natural like wild onion roots, things like that.
Mushrooms,
the wild carrots.
I've taken a number of sighting
yams.
reports of people that were chased out of areas hunting mushrooms.
Yep. Well,
yeah.
Wild yams, wild potatoes, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, anything wild. I mean, and look at the berries. You know, huckleberries, blueberries, raspberries, whatever grows in your AO area of operations, wherever you are. What's indigenous to you? Like Robbie was just saying, the wild yams. I've heard of wild onions being pulled up and wild carrots.
Mm-hmm.
Because they grow in clusters. So if you see something that's been rooting around in there, could it be a wild boar? But it's wild. Yeah, but it's wild boar indigenous to your area.
Acorns.
You'll know if it's a wild boar doing it, because pigs it looks like a bulldozer went through.
That's true. It won't be
a source that is abundant around here. That's acorns and walnuts.
Yeah.
We have tons of acorns and walnuts.
Yeah, see, we got acorns, walnuts, and pecans down where I grew up in Mississippi. So, you're like, look, I know the crows ain't getting all these damn things. Where the hell are they going? Like when
Poncho says he's got pictures of dandelion roots 26 inches long. Dandelion roots, there are a lot of plants that are naturally edible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where my brother Keith had his encounter, he's got two creeks running through there. There's a hard bottom flat. So there's acorns, there's walnuts, hickory nuts. There's all kinds of stuff. Chinky pins, all kinds of stuff.
We've said acorns a lot. A handful of acorns has probably got more protein than any kind of little protein bar you can buy in a store.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Penny Van says acorns taste awful, but if you boil them, it's easier to eat. Well, acorns not necessarily have to be the food source itself. Deer love acorns. If you got a lot of acorns on the ground and these things eat deer.
It depends on which acorn too.
That's true. White or red oak.
Yeah, white oak is not that bad. The red oak were the ones that are bitter. I think it's that. I'm pretty sure it's white oak that are not bad. But there's so much stuff that you can. Nature is like a huge pharmaceutical or a huge pharmacy.
I got mullein growing out in my front yard, and I told, me and my wife know that, but I told my son, he was out there weed eating. I was like, don't cut the mullein down. That's natural pharmaceutical stuff. I'm waiting for it to dry so I can collect the stuff off the top of it and the leaves too. Penny Van had the good one, cattails.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, those are hugely nutritious.
When I was a kid, we convinced one of my nephews that they were wild corn dogs, and he took a big bite out of one.
Dude, that's so wrong.
Woo!
That's like eating a mouthful of dandelion fluff right there, man.
He was not happy.
Okay, so Penny says one acorn has 1.7 grams of protein and 110 calories.
Yeah. If you were a Sasquatch needing protein, collecting a handful of those and just walking along munching them, that's pretty cheap calories.
Look at what the mountain men used to live off of. Pemmican.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was suet and berries, and basically they take beef jerky and grind it up. So it had your fats, your carbs, and your proteins.
You take lard and render it down.
Yep.
And then mix your meat and all that stuff in it. Basically makes a I want to say a cake, but
it's almost like a cake. My buddy John made some, and they were like little meatballs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they're so dense, like a couple of them, and you're like, holy crap, I'm full.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had pemmican before. They used to sell it down at Silver Dollar City. And I've had, and I knew some guys that used to come to deer camp that made their own. And it's, it can be good. It can also be pretty horrible depending on how it's made. But the ones I've had, I liked all of it pretty well. Again, it was kind of like a really chewy beef jerky with like nuts and other stuff in it.
Yeah,
it'll keep for a long time too.
Yeah.
So it's nutrient dense. So we're looking at these critters. So we got food, we got water, we got shelter. So that's part of the food system there. They got their little triad. If they're eating the grubs, they're eating worms, they're eating berries, fish, wild game. What kind of wild game do you have where you live?
Right. Alia Wolf said, ask about the Book of Natural Remedies. She talking about yours or the one I had?
Like this one?
That's the one, The Lost Ways.
That's on my book of reference books, my shelf.
I think all three of us have this, don't we?
Yeah, there's a couple of volumes of that too.
Yeah. And then the Herbal Medic is another great one.
Roxanne says turtle meat is good. I've had turtle many times.
Turtle soup. Or as my great grandpa used to call it, turkle soup.
Turkle.
Get them old turkles. Them old mud turkles.
I mean, I'm from Mississippi. I like any of it, man. Honestly, I've eaten possum and raccoon and wild
bear,
rabbit, squirrel.
Yeah, rabbit, squirrels. We called them tree rats.
Pan-fried squirrel and eggs was breakfast many a morning.
Tree rat dumplings.
Dudes, my grandma
Squirrel
could
gravy.
make some squirrels in gravy in the pressure cooker. Son, it was fine.
My great
Mike from Abnormal Investigation says trappers survived on beavers a lot. I've never tried beaver. I've heard it's really gamey. I've never tried it. I know, Doc, you're dying.
I ain't saying a word.
I meant the rodent, the one with the big teeth,
the flat tail. Yeah,
the flat tail.
Yeah. So, Where There Are No Doctors, that is a great book. Where There Are No Dentists is the other one, and a survival doctor's complete guide to survival. And then Marty just said, what about aloe? It's medicinal and antiseptic. Absolutely. And it's great for any kind of gastric disorders, anything like that.
Right. So, spruce bark. Spruce bark can be chewed or boiled in a tea.
And willow.
Pine needles. You can make pine needles.
Pine needle tea.
Fever reduction, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, my grandma used to say pine needle tea for a fever.
Yeah, it's pine needle tea for fever, and like urinary tract infections, and it's great for a topical antiseptic.
Have either of you guys ever tried snake?
Yep.
I've had a couple of different types of snake. Rattlesnake's good. I've had that before, and the other one I believe was a king snake that they'd fried.
Yeah,
it was at a camp one time. But rattlesnake, I've had that like 3 different ways.
We tried
it just by itself. I had it in a stew, and I had it in chili.
It's good. Yeah, we tried water moccasin. It's just too skunky for me. It's nasty. Mark Napier, great call, man. Ditch Medicine, great book.
I need to add that one to the library.
Yeah. Ditch Medicine is a fantastic one. I think I've got that one in there. I think Angie got that one for me a couple of years ago.
It's amazing how many natural plants that modern medicines come from. I know we've quoted it before, but we get digitalis from foxglove.
Yeah, we do. We get all kinds of stuff. Digitalis from foxglove. We get
Valium from valerian root.
We get Donatol from the belladonna plant to slow down gastric motility, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of things in the natural world. There used to be a saying, and I would imagine that it still holds true. But the Native Americans used to say that the Great Spirit put a plant on this planet to cure every ailment.
Oh yeah, there's
Well,
just about everything can be cured
well, it's like,
naturally.
yeah, exactly what Robbie said, and I've said it so many times on the show. I believe if we suffer for it, it grows from the ground to cure it.
Right.
I really do. I mean, look at the Native American medicine, the First Peoples medicine. It's everything is all natural. Look at naturopaths, man. I mean, Western medicine is a palliative kind of care. You know, Eastern medicine was curative, and indigenous medicine was curative. We're not trying to just put a Band-Aid on something. You know, we're trying. If you're really doing it, you're trying to actually cure it, not treat the symptoms, but actually get to the root cause of the problem. So
Kay Bowers says she just saw a backwoods cooking show where they cooked armadillo. Y'all, it's an up armored possum. I'm as hillbilly as it gets. I've eaten a lot of backwoods stuff, but be very careful if you're going to try to eat armadillo. Those things carry a lot of diseases, including tuberculosis
and leprosy.
I was about to say exactly what I was about.
Be very careful. If anybody said, "Hey, I cooked an armadillo, you want some?" It better be like pork. It better be very thoroughly cooked.
Dude, yeah, negative. I mean, I ate pretty much every critter that grew up around my house in South Mississippi, but an armadillo was not one of them. They were relegated to double alt buckshot.
Griff says his wife's still shaking her head over the wild corn dogs.
Could you? Hey, Robbie, I bet he was like this.
He was. That's not funny, guys. Like, yeah, it's pretty funny. I think I was 10, maybe 11 when we did that. It's like taking somebody's snipe hunting. It's an Ozark's rite of passage.
Dude, he's probably still spitting them damn things out of his teeth.
That's freaking amazing, though. I mean, just hey, that's a wild corn dog. Cool.
And he did. He took a great big bite out of it too. He was all excited that it was a corn dog.
Bless it, as we say down south.
Bless his
heart. He's also the same kid I told to wait. Then again, I was a kid. I would not have done this as an adult. I was probably 10 or 12 years old. But he asked me how to turn the lawnmower off. I said, just grab that wire down there and the spark plug and pull. I was a little kid. I'm sorry. And Randy, if you're listening, I'm sorry. We're going to be laughing about it later anyway.
Oh, Lord.
I can't say that I wouldn't have done that as an adult. I can't say that I might not have done that as an adult.
Okay. So my brother Carly he's on Carly Davis there. He said, hey to Toombs. So he said, I ate some beaver literally. It's a little greasy, very dark meat, kind of like a beef roast.
Huh.
So
I've never tried it, but the few people I've talked to that had said it was gamey.
I mean, I guess it was if it was prepared the right way. You know, I mean, maybe slow cooked the ever living hell out of it. I don't know.
Every piece of wild game has to be cooked in a certain way, and not all of it's the same. Because
like my mama used to soak all our venison in buttermilk.
We used to brine ours just like you did a wild turkey.
Every time
Marty from Nona Boss says she makes some mean persimmon pudding. I'd like to try that. I like persimmons.
Persimmons is an acquired taste.
It is an acquired taste. That was one of persimmons is one of those ones that my older brothers dared me to bite into when I was a kid.
Good on the front end, but good God, that bitter will catch you.
Well, they were counting on the sour, but I kind of like sour stuff, so they were waiting for me to be like, and I was like,
dry your mouth out.
That's not bad.
That'll lock you up. We still got to come out with the cookbook. We still got to do the cookbook. Man.
Yeah, I still got to get all that pulled up. I've been working on so many other projects. I haven't kind of got back burnered, but I need to get that one forward.
Okay.
I need to get that one done.
We're derailing a little bit, like we always do.
Sorry.
No, but okay. So we've talked about food. They're omnivorous. We've talked about
water sources.
We talked about shelter because they need something to hide to remain cryptids. Are there caves
Exactly.
nearby, big trees, things like that? What's next?
Well, we already touched a little bit about it, but what are some of these plants that are medicinal? Things that they can aid themselves with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
hell, like the stuff I pulled when I was doing research for Civil War battlefield medicine that I've used in the Dark Frontiers books. There's a mixture of it was spruce resin and honey that they would disinfect wounds with, using horsehair sutures. There's lots of stuff that are extremely low tech that are very effective.
Yeah, me and you talked about that stuff ad nauseum, and then even like apple cider vinegar. All that kind of stuff. White willow bark,
Spruce bark,
spruce bark, birch bark, all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you think about this, let's look at apples and apples. They're tribes. I believe they're tribes. So, and Robbie, back me up on this, man. Tribal medicine, they go from the earth. Yes.
Affirmative.
Okay, so wouldn't it be a correlation there to see that Bigfoot, who has tribes, using the same kind of medicine because it's all primitive medicine?
Well, David Neal says they got big patches of wild ginseng in Pennsylvania. I know we've got it here in Missouri too. It's a little hard to find, but it's here.
Yeah,
but even, and I'm not saying I disagree with you. I totally agree with you, Doc. But even throwing that out, look at animals that instinctively know if they got something that's not right with them. They know what plant to go chew on to make them feel better.
Well, look at dogs that'll go out and eat certain grasses when they've got digestive problems.
Absolutely, yes.
So I mean, even if you don't buy into the tribes theory, like we say on everything else we talk about, all you've got to do is look in nature to get the answers.
Dude, just look at what Ken just put up: plantain, mellow, dandelion, sassafras, all helpful for certain ailments. I mean, there's so much stuff out there that we grew up with. I remember my mom would have a stomach ache and would make sassafras tea.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow root. Who has smelled yellow root
garlic?
Boiling? Woo, Lord have mercy. I used to walk into my great grandmother's house when she was making yellow root tea. But
wild garlic,
medicinal.
Yeah, my
Garlic's
buddy
good for a lot of things.
My buddy Patrick just made 12 quarts of kimchi, so yeah, I feel you on that, Robbie. It smells like
that's a smell you don't forget.
Dude, it smells like feet and ass in my basement. I'm just saying. Lord have mercy.
Richard Cox says, with all the pot fields around, I wonder if Bigfoot chows on the occasional cannabis salad.
Hey, bro.
Well,
there's a lot of
they
stories
were talking about
in California of that happening.
I mean,
of pot fields being attacked.
Dude, I mean, hey, he might want to get his munchies on. Who knows? If it grows from the dirt, it ain't going to hurt. For the most part. Some things are
for the most part
poisonous. Like moonflowers. Those things can mess people up.
Aconite. If you eat aconite, you're boned.
Yep.
You don't even want to get that on your skin.
Mm-mm. No, it's like we had some kids do the moonflower tea, and in Colorado, and man, those poor little kids were messed up. So it's like they've
in
been
case you're wondering what the common name of aconite is, it's wolf's bane.
Yeah, yeah. And look up moonflower tea, man. These kids look like they've been to a Fish concert or something. It was not a good day.
I would imagine not.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's like Robbie said, they know what's good and what's not good. I mean, an animal will know if, by the characteristics of the plant or the smell or anything like that, hey, nah, I'm not going to mess around with this, because the bright berries, waxy leaves, stuff like that, they're like, nah, I'm going to leave that crap alone.
If you can find wild cloves, clove oil is great for a toothache.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, that's one thing that my dad's had always told me was to watch what the animals are eating. If the animals aren't eating it, you better not.
Right.
That's a
And
good
watch
point.
where animals drink. If they won't drink out of a pond or a certain stream,
Exactly.
don't drink out of it.
Exactly. You know, that water's bad. If it's bad for them, it's bad for you, man. So I agree with that.
Ken says yellow root contains berberine, helpful for blood sugar.
I'll be damned. Ken, you are a smart son of a gun.
He's a pretty fart smeller.
He is a fart smeller. Hey, boys, I'm sorry. I've already had like a gallon of water today. I'll be right back. Y'all continue on.
All righty.
Proceed, sir.
Proceeds up.
You get a lot of walnuts up in your area, Robbie?
They, of course, with all the land around here getting sold off, there used to be a lot of walnut trees around here.
There are
I don't
tons of
know.
black walnut trees in Missouri.
Yeah, and my dad, same place I found that wolf print, he used to have about 4 or 5 walnut trees up around his house.
Hell, I
but-
got a couple in my backyard right now.
Yeah. But I think he got rid of them because, they're really apt to, when you get a bad storm, they'll come down pretty quick. And
Yeah.
they're dense and heavy, and if they hit something, they do a lot of damage.
When I was a kid, we used to throw them at each other all the time.
Yep.
Little
Oh, yeah.
turds.
They kind of hurt when they hit you in the head.
Yeah, they'll ring your bell, that's for sure. But Missouri's rife with walnuts and acorns, oak trees. We got tons of both red and white oak. But there's lots of just natural things that you can find that are edible. There's a type of grass that's called sheep shower. Looks a lot like clover, but it's edible. And to me, any of these things that the animals would know to eat, even if Bigfoot doesn't eat it personally, these food sources are gonna attract things it does eat.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing of this is, like you said earlier, they may or may not be an omnivore. They may be a carnivore. That, I don't think they're specifically, other than maybe a gugway or something like that, that is more specifically a carnivore. So I think, not only are they going to be snacking on the walnuts and the acorns and the random wild yams and things like that they find, they're probably snacking on the small things that are snacking on the other small things.
Well, if it can catch a squirrel in its nest, I guarantee it'd eat a squirrel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it may not be very big, but if you're eating on the go, a squirrel will tide you over. And from what we've managed to, like when we talked to Dr. Meldrum about the power of a Sasquatch's jaw and how wide its teeth are, crunching the bones of a squirrel I don't really be that much of a challenge for.
I mean, it'd probably be akin to us eating something like fish bones or something like that. They're annoying, but they're not going to stop you from crunching into them.
Right.
And would that give you additional nutrients?
Probably.
Could very well. Especially if they're crunching the marrow out of it.
Yep.
Estelle Harrington says we used to have hazelnuts, we have beech nuts, acorns, pine nuts, blueberry, elderberry, choke cherries. The bear loved choke cherries. I think it helps them in hibernation. Yeah, there are tons of berries in Missouri. You get blackberries and wild strawberries and raspberry bushes, and there are berries all over the place. And there's so many encounter stories, especially Native American encounter stories, of when they would gather berries in the fall. That's where they would start running into these things.
Ooh, I'm sorry, Richard Cox. I'm sorry. That comment caught me off.
Oh, sorry,
He's
Richard.
drinking, man. He's forcing fluids to pass a kidney stone.
Oh,
brother,
my heart's off to you, brother. That is,
bless
that
your
is a
heart.
rough time.
I hope you got some good drugs, man. Because, son, JDW 2150 has a good point. Cooked bones are dangerous and splinter. Raw bones are fine. Crunch right up. Yes. When Ranger was alive, he ate raw food. So I would feed him a This hoss could eat a whole raw chicken like it was nothing, and it's fine for them. But if you cook it, the bones get softer and it can perforate their intestines.
Yep.
So what do y'all think? Y'all think Bigfoot eats a raw diet?
I would say so. I mean,
Probably.
if it made fire constantly, we'd be a lot easier to find.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we've talked about food a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about
Wonder
water
why.
sources. What about some shelters?
Well, obviously, we have to go back-
natural or they make them.
Both.
both.
Let's look at
Well,
both,
of
man.
course.
Remember, they're opportunistic hunters. They're probably opportunistic shelterers as well.
My buddy Chris, who I know his wife's in the chat tonight. I saw her name pop up earlier, but Chris McGee, we grew up together. We found a house way back in the freaking woods of the Ozarks with a nest on the second floor of it. And the nest was 6 or 8 feet across. It was huge, and it was made of woven branches. So I firmly believe if they find abandoned structures, they will use them as shelter.
Okay, so if there's not a cave, could they find an old house?
Easily. There's a lot of abandoned houses out there.
Tons.
Personal experience on that one, right, DA?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So caves. Look at our cave systems in the U.S. We've already done the overlay with the National Park Service.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, the story on Mammoth Cave gets broader. They used to say that Mammoth Cave ran from Tennessee to Maine, but their estimates now is that it may actually connect to Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico.
Get the frick out of here.
Me and
That
Jesus
cave
talked
system
about
may
that.
cross most of the United States.
Dude, are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious. I just read the article a few days ago. Robbie and I were talking about it.
Okay. Where was you? Oh, I know. I had shit going on. Send me the link. I'd like to see that, man.
Let me find the article again. I'll send it to you. But
That's insane.
If that goes from Maine to South New Mexico, how much of the United States does that cover?
Holy shit, snacks!
A lot of it. A
A
lot.
lot. Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
And that's what they suspect. It may even be bigger than that. Like
Okay,
I said, when I was a kid, they released marker dye into the spring at Bennett Springs here in Missouri, which is about 40 miles from me. They released marker dye in that, and it was the National Park Service did it. And they wanted to find where the spring came up, where the other end was. And they waited and they waited and they waited, and they had a specific frequency of radioactive marker dye that they released. 6 months later, that dye emerged in Alaska.
Holy shit.
From Missouri.
Dude, that's insane.
It is insane.
Okay, so I mean, underneath me right now, okay, so my aquifer, the aquifer I'm in right now for my well, goes down
You
to
part
9.
of the Ogallala?
Say again?
Are you part of the Ogallala aquifer?
No, I'm part of the Denver aquifer.
Oh,
But there are 3 aquifers. The one I'm in goes 992 feet down. And then there's one above that and one above that. So I'm in a 3 aquifer system where I am right now. So the Ogallala would be, I think, in Wyoming and South Dakota, if I'm not mistaken.
It also runs into part of New Mexico, because when I lived in Clayton, our water came from the Ogallala.
Okay. So, well, that's a big ass aquifer then.
It is a big aquifer.
How deep did y'all go down?
I don't know. I was a kid, man.
So
those are the kind of questions I didn't ask at 12 years old.
I'm at my well ends at 992 feet, but I'm almost at 7,500 feet here. So, yeah, I mean, if there's a cave system running that far underneath, I mean, that's shelter from Maine all the way down to New Mexico. So where have a lot of our sightings been? How far does that cave system extend? How far does that aquifer system extend?
I don't know that they'll ever really know. I mean, like we've said in the past, when it comes to exploring caves, it's not an easy process. It's not like you can just march into the cave with the shit on your back and then radio for a supply drop.
There we go.
You've
what I
got to
was about to
establish
say.
base camps and bring in supplies and then branch out from there and bring in more supplies. And
The way
Yeah.
our technology for cave exploration is right now, I don't know that we'll ever know, at least
Yeah.
the way it is right now.
Now,
Because you would really have to. I mean, I don't see how, unless teleportation is invented, we
Yeah.
just teleport stuff in.
Naoma had a good point because she said, according to Google, it goes down to over 1,000 feet in some places.
that's deep.
That's deep, dude.
Well, you know, some of these caves, the part of the known systems of the mammoth, they've sent USGS survey teams in, and they've gone 3 and 4 days deep before saying, okay, we just simply can't extend our supply chain any farther and come back. They've mapped what they believe is less than 10% of what we know of the mammoth cave system. And if if it goes all the way to Carlsbad like they suspect, that's what 2,000 miles of underground caves, and that's assuming it doesn't branch out in other directions.
Yeah, and if it is 2,000, like you said, straight there, and they've only 10% of 2,000 is what
200, and
So-
I doubt they've explored that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
That's a very
Conservative.
conservative guess.
Yeah. I mean, because look at all the offshoots, Robbie.
Well,
You
that's like they said. That's straight line estimate. That
Yeah.
ain't, because if it goes in a straight line for 2,000 miles, you damn sure Skippy it's going to branch off in different directions, and it probably goes
Bingo.
2,000 miles in another direction too.
Bingo. Yeah. I mean, because every curve adds footage. You know what I mean? So if we've talked about all of that, external features, what are the signs? We've talked about food. We've talked about water. We talked about shelter with all the cave systems. What about some external features? What kind of signs are you going to see out in your woods or around your house?
Tree structures.
Tree breaks,
Okay.
trackways.
Well,
Missing
food,
animals.
How about
Yeah.
missing food, missing animals, missing vegetables out of your garden? Remember,
Yeah.
they're opportunistic, so they're gonna look for this kind of stuff.
Right.
And maybe even like, DA has written some of his books. Maybe you're going to start seeing territorial things. Like if they move in and lay a claim to it, you might find the odd dead animal on your property. Like, where in the hell did that come from?
Penny Van had a good comment. She said, I've always wondered if every major cave system we're aware of isn't actually connected as one system.
Bro, I saw that. Yes, that is a solid point.
That is a damn good point.
Robbie,
And
what
it
do
very
you
well could be.
Well, I mean, obviously, that I'm a firm believer in that cave theory.
Yeah.
And I think the more we talk about this tongue clicking for echolocation, the case, I mean, just think back, Doc, just since we've been talking about this, how much has come up about these caves where, okay, when we first started talking about it, we all thought the Mammoth Cave was here to here that we've been told. Now, after we've been talking about this, now we find out that it goes from Maine to possibly New Mexico. Just look at all
maybe even farther.
US.
Yeah, and it could go down into Mexico itself, or even all the way up to California.
The more we talk about this, it seems like the more we find out that there's things in place already that just does nothing but strengthens our theory.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that anybody else, I hadn't seen it. I don't know if anybody else has overlaid those 3 maps like we've done.
I don't think so. I mean, and
just that in itself, just overlaying those three maps, and for anybody in the chat that doesn't know what we're talking about, because it's been a while since we've overlaid that, DA took a map of the cave systems, a map of Bigfoot sightings, and a map of the missing 411. And they might not be identical,
but they're pretty close.
Dude, they're pretty damn close,
they're
man.
pretty damn close.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's honestly, it's disingenuous not to even acknowledge that.
Yeah,
because the evidence is right there in your face.
Yeah, and if they are extensively using those caves, which I do firmly believe they are,
I do too.
If they are using these caves extensively, then our theory on the tongue popping being used for echolocation really firms that up.
Yep.
It's like one strengthens the other.
Right.
It's like, oh hey, what if they're doing this? Well, that's pretty cool. But what if they're living here? Well, that would make a lot of sense as to why they're doing this.
Right. Well, the tongue pop for echolocation would still work above ground, but it would probably be more to signal their position versus where the others are.
Correct.
But underground, it would be, they'd go, down one corridor and go, okay, that's echoing back. That dead ends.
Yeah. For subterranean, it'd probably be more for navigation. For epiterranean or above the dirt, it's more for navigation. Or communication.
Navigation below, communication above.
Communication
Penny
above.
Van says, I thought I'd get poo-pooed for typing that about being one connected system. For all we know, it extends under the oceans to other continents. And that works exactly into the hollow earth theory. I don't think the earth is hollow like an egg. I think the entire earth is honeycombed with these passageways.
I don't discount that at all, man.
In fact, they're even saying there's possibly a system of interconnected caves that runs from England to Turkey.
And here we go again. And I'm going to jump on this, my theory of this again. Jules Verne, we've talked about it before. He wrote about this stuff before.
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah, Journey to the Center of the Earth. He wrote about when 20,000 Leagues Beneath the Sea. When he described the Nautilus, he's freaking describing nuclear class submarines. When there was nothing like that. He wrote about all this stuff. How? Because somebody saw this stuff and talked about it. Maybe not the submarine part. Right. I don't know. I don't know how he came up with that.
And the time machine. Who in that day, who even thought time travel was a possible thing?
Nobody other than maybe Einstein, and I don't think he was.
And Einstein didn't live back then.
Maybe another time traveler came back and gave him the idea.
Entirely possible. Tim says it's like a honeycomb. I've been laughed at for saying the very same. People unfortunately get, and I'm not just saying when this comes to cryptids, I'm talking about all across the board throughout the scientific community. People get set in their ways on particular theories and refuse to look at anything that might challenge that. And one thing we've got to do as we dig into cryptids is keep an open mind. Yes, the three of us here believe it's a flesh and blood creature, but we have never ruled out the possibility that might be beyond this. But we also want to follow the most logical course of action. And this network of caves, it just fits into so much of the lore that talks about the hollow earth theory and civilizations living below ground. There's just so much connected lore from all over the world that this starts to become more plausible.
Well, and just like you just hit the nail on the head. All these legends are connected. Why? One legend connects to the other legend, connects to the other legend.
Well, we've said it before, Doc. We've said it before. Why does every First Nation tribe have a legend about a large hairy creature?
They're different tribes in vast parts vast distances apart.
Yeah, it wasn't like you picking up the phone. Hey, did you see that big hairy something walking across the
exactly
prairie the other day? No, that didn't happen.
There's a common theme, dude. Yeah. There's a common theme, man.
Why are there so many legends on werewolves? Why are there so many legends on vampires? Why are there so many legends on trolls? Why are there? they're there for a reason.
Yeah, and why are there so many legends in so many varying cultures?
Yeah, well, the same
All
thing.
around
Same
the
thing
globe.
with the flood, the biblical
Yep.
flood.
Yeah.
The flood story pops up in mythologies
300.
across the planet,
There's 300 separate stories about the flood, and every
that
one of them
talks-
are pretty much the same.
And it's,
that talks
you know,
about the earth opening up and the waters from the deep coming up to flood the earth.
and you know
The
what?
fountains below,
It's
above and
all-
below broke
it's-
open.
It's all non-denominational too, man. That's
Mhm.
the beautiful thing about it.
Well, and that lends into to this hollow earth theory, because and I'm not really getting biblical or spiritual on this, but even if you don't believe that, it says that basically this is what we're living in now is a wasteland compared to what the earth used to be. So if the flood is true and all these things we're not seeing but maybe a third of what this planet used to look
Dude,
like.
Absolutely, man.
If that's true, then this hollow earth theory is not really a hollow earth theory. It's just what we don't, what was there before.
We
that
haven't
we
seen.
don't see.
Okay,
Right.
so like the comment that DA just had from who was it, Doyle? How about the cave found in the Grand Canyon that has Egyptian writings and artifacts?
I watched a documentary on that.
I did too.
Once the Smithsonian got involved, that whole area of the Grand Canyon's now off limits.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's weird, ain't it?
Penny Van says, "Oh my God, DAX Machina podcast. Imagine the Norse tree of all worlds, Yggdrasil. What if that's actually a map of tunnels of other realms? That very well could be. There could be different sections beneath the earth that could have been Muspelheim, Svartalfheim, Vanaheim, Jotunheim. The nine worlds could be different sections beneath the earth.
I mean, we get the British curators attitude sometimes. Oh no, we're so superior to you, but let's look back at ancient times. It is what it is, man. Don't just think because your theories don't support it doesn't mean it's what it's. Doesn't mean it's not what it is.
And just think about it this way: why can we not figure out how they built the pyramids?
They still haven't figured that shit out, dude.
Right. But why can we not figure? We're so smart, we're so advanced, and we're so this and we're so that. Why can't we figure out how they built the pyramid?
I mean, okay.
Why can't we figure out how the Romans built roads? Roads, they're digging down and finding these roads are still intact, and roads we made 2 years ago are falling apart.
And aqueducts that they're still using thousands of years.
Yeah,
so
they're still flowing aqueducts in Italy.
Yeah, I asked that question for a specific reason, though. And here's the thing: if we can't figure that out, there's a reason for that. Doc, all three of us are around the same age. You used to make mixtapes off the radio.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I hated it when they would keep talking over the intro.
Okay,
yeah. So, shut up! We're trying to record this.
So you take your mixtape to school, and people like, "Oh, cool! I want to copy that." So you make a copy of that tape for them, and then somebody else wants to copy that, and they make a copy of that. What happens when you make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy? What happens?
Each generation gets worse.
It degrades.
Okay. So what are we?
We're degradation.
We're copies of copies of copies of copies of copies. And I know people don't like this theory, and it hurts people's feelings. But sorry, not sorry, it's the truth. They were a lot smarter about stuff like that back then. Number one, they didn't have the egos that we have. I mean, I'm sure some of them did. But, it wasn't – it just like we've talked about that Bigfoot encounter in the Okefenokee Swamp. It wasn't to get their 15 minutes of fame. It was like, oh shit, that really happened. We got to go help these people. Yeah. Where we're like, whatever, you're an idiot. You laugh at people. It has to come to a point where people have to realize things happened back then and they just took it at face value. Okay, well, this happened. We got to deal with it. Now it's just like, oh, he's an idiot. He's stupid. He's crazy. He's this. He's that. Okay, figure all this stuff out then. If they were so stupid back then, figure all this stuff out. Ain't no, like you said, Doc. There's so many things that have not been figured out yet that we're so smart we can't figure out.
That's right. Yeah, I love Naoma's comment. Scary thought. If survival of the fittest is applied, look around you, folks. We are the best of the best. Yikes. That's true, though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we're actually sitting there putting critical thought to this, not just intellectual superiority, because those two are not the same.
Jimmy G has a good comment. He says, can confirm, I do structural scanning. Sydney Opera House was built in the 70s, and I've scanned it. It's really well done. Stuff made like 2 years ago, horrid.
That old saying, they don't make them like they used to, is 100% accurate.
That's a fact.
Just look at house construction.
House. Yeah,
houses made in the 1920s, the 2x4s and the wood they used there is far superior to the wood you get today.
My wife lived in a historic house in Mississippi. It was built in 1898. That house is still standing and is stronger and it's in no danger of falling down anytime soon, because the construction back then was made to last.
Yep.
Right.
Literally a lifetime or more. And
now they have planned obsolescence.
Yes.
Like look at the appliances that were made when we were kids. Refrigerators made in the 60s and 70s would outlive your grandkids. But you get one today, if it makes it 5 years, they plan this on purpose, so you've got to continually buy new.
Well,
I can tell you some stories about that.
Look at cars. They got rid of the shade tree mechanic by putting computers in them. Now, the days of going out when your car messes up and going out and working on your own car are done.
Yeah,
just a great example of that is my oldest son Nathan. He drives a Mitsubishi, a SUV. The alternator went out on it. The alternator. Now I remember changing the alternator on my old Ford pickup. It took me 15 minutes. It took us 3 days, and we finally gave up and hired a guy to do it.
Oh my God, dude!
You had it was underneath the car, and you had to remove the compressor to the air conditioner to get to it.
My first job was working, and this will tell you how. If y'all remember, y'all know AutoZone, right?
Mm-hmm.
The major. I worked there when it was still Auto Shack, when they were in the middle of getting sued by Radio Shack and had to change their name. And now Radio Shack is no more, but it's AutoZone. So I started there when it was Auto Shack. That tells you how long ago my first job was.
back there when you were slinging parts for Model Ts?
Yep. I remember when you could walk into a parts store and buy a car battery for $30. You could buy an alternator for $15. You find me an alternator in a parts store now that you're not going to have to pay use half a paycheck for.
Yeah,
the one for Nathan's was over $300.
Yeah,
and that's without the core.
Yeah, so, I had a 65 Ford, a 62 Ford pickup, had a 65 Ford engine in it. I think I paid $55 for that alternator. $10 for a starter. You know, I mean, but I'm so little, I could crawl in the engine bay and have plenty of room left to work on. You know,
I used to sit on the firewall of my old Ford pickup and work on the engine with my legs next to the motor.
Yeah, same here, man.
And it had a V8.
Yeah, same here. Mine was it was out of a 65 Ford Galaxy. I think it was a 351 Windsor. But
I had a 351 in my old truck. A Cleveland though, the big block.
Yeah. So I mean, you know how little I am, DA. I mean, I had plenty of room left in the engine bay, but now you got to have a computer science degree to work on your car. So
yeah. And special tools. There's always some special tool that's got to be used to remove something.
I don't know where the hell the topic went, but we went on. Went off on a tangent.
Well, we started talking about how things were built stronger in the old days, and it just kind of led to that. But you know, like you said, they don't make them like they used to.
They don't.
But
They really don't.
and that's that falls back to these to structures. I mean, if Bigfoots are building tree structures, they're built heavy. That's why when you see some that people have taken pictures of that look like they're made out of kindling that you could snap over your leg and make a fire with, I think those are either man-made or just flat out hope.
But
when you see some of those ones that are made with trees that are this big around,
that's a tree fort we all made in the woods when we were kids.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we used to make tree forts all the time to hide in and camp out in and crap.
Yeah, I mean these are for creatures that are way bigger and way more robust than we could ever think about being.
Right.
But the whole point of what we kind of got off on, but the whole point of that was there's things that back then that people just accepted. And it wasn't, how many times have we heard Native Americans talk about, Bigfoot and dogman and all this stuff? It's just like, just like we talk about
just
football games on
part
Sunday.
Of nature.
Yeah, it's football on Sunday. It's accepted. It's part of our culture. That's part of their culture and heritage. And it's just so many people try to overthink everything, and that's what just you know what I'm saying, Doc. Just go with your feelings and quit overthinking all this stuff.
Yeah, don't.
Which lays into what we talk about. Start at point A. Don't go from point A to point Z.
Yeah, break it down to the bare bones, man. Break it down to bare bones. You'll get it's Occam's razor, man.
Yep.
It's Occam's razor.
Marty and I had a discussion about this. I believe yesterday we talked about this. And this is why it's so easy to win an argument with somebody like that. When you go from point A to point Z already, and that's your next logical step or your next step or whatever, when you come up against a wall with that, you don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
You've already went to the furthest extreme you could possibly go to. So when somebody calls you on it and calls your BS on that, you don't have anywhere else to go. But when you start simple, that KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid.
I mean, and I'm all about critical thought, but keep it critical. Don't think to the automatic extreme, because critical thought is where a lot of theories come from and where a lot of problem solving comes from. But if you take it to the extreme, like you just said, Robbie, then you've eliminated critical thought, because now you're locked in and you have painted yourself into a theoretical corner.
But that's nobody says that it can't go to point Z. Nobody says that it won't go to point Z.
Exactly.
You just can't make that your first step.
Right. Let's think of everything from A to Z. The other 24 steps between there.
Yeah. Well, just like we're talking about tonight. We didn't come in here and say, okay, how do you find out if you got a Bigfoot in your yard? Well, there it is.
Yeah, there's some red circles on a picture of a bush.
Yeah, but there again, seeing it in your yard, that would be point Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point A is, how do I know? Point Z is, okay, there it is.
Well, I mean, do I have foxes? Do I have coyotes? Do I have bobcats? If you're missing your small critters, it could be a number
vocalizations.
Yeah, exactly.
Or have, suddenly, small game and animals decided to vacate your area. Generally a pretty good indication there's a predator in the area.
Yeah. Yep. If the small critters are going, it's time to GTFO, then
Dee Mouth.
You ever walk out in your backyard at night and everything is dead quiet?
Yeah.
There's something around.
And here's the thing that a lot of people just don't think about this or realize: bears, wolves, things like that does not stop insects, tree frogs, things like that. Mountain lions, that does not stop. It might stop things like squirrels and rabbits and things, but insects do not stop for big predators. normal
Dude,
big predators.
Naoma just had a great point. If it ain't gonna leave point A, it ain't gonna leave point A if you don't give it some thought.
Facts.
Yeah. Mark Napier says that pointy stump in the tree line around your house that wasn't there yesterday.
Right.
Or Marty says if something's taken out your security lights.
You got some experience.
Toon says, yeah, no sounds and the dog won't go out.
These are what we call a clue.
Right.
A clue.
It's a clue. Yeah. So we've got all these other signs. What are some other signs that people might see?
Miss Lene said all their squirrels have disappeared in the past week. Well, they ain't hibernating.
Yeah, it's too early.
Yeah. They're hiding from something.
You know, I mean, look for tracks. Look for, trees being knocked down. Like your neighbors, not your neighbors, DA, but your friends who were, how far were away from you were they? The one that had the trees pushed down?
Oh, they're not that far, like 30 miles.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of a big indicator right there.
Yeah.
As you said before,
they're only like 25, 30 miles. Oh, I'm sorry. They're on the other side of Lebanon, so they're about 50 miles from here.
Still, though, as we talked about, range of animals like that, that's not really that far.
Fred in Alaska says deafening silence, owl hoots, short, sharp whistles are a few. Yeah, Fred can tell you firsthand because these have all happened to him in Alaska, and those kind of things can happen anywhere that you have a wild area. You're probably not going to get it so much in town or even in a largely urban area, but I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, weird things happen in towns sometimes too. There's a town in Oklahoma that was having all kinds of trouble with Bigfoot creatures raiding their trash.
Well, and Marty had a good one. Are you fine fencing or barbed wire pushed down?
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing that that a lot of people aren't thinking of. The day and age we live in now, where people are constantly pushing out and pushing it into that, everybody wants expansion. Like you just said, Doc, they're taking their territory away. We're living in the day and age now where we're encroaching on their area.
Dude,
some of these things will push back.
I'd say these things are not going to slink
they're
away.
They're territorial creatures, man.
Like like your spotted owl or your field mouse. They're going to push back.
Yeah, they're territorial creatures by nature.
And it's not going to be good when they start pushing back.
Right. Jimmy G says, I hate it when it gets creepy quiet to the point it's deafening. Then some smart-ass bird chirps and you damn near crap yourself 3 feet into the air.
That happens.
Mark Napier says, and I still say deer wasting disease is going to cause more disappearances of people, more violent encounters. When they lose a major food source, they're going to replace it.
Well, and I'm sure we said, I can't remember if we exactly said this, but who's to say that, CWD wasn't something to stop us from being able to harvest our own food?
Let me take this hat off and put this one.
Get the tinfoil one.
Yeah. I was having that conversation with my buddy Patrick this weekend. So, yeah. I mean,
if you don't want people like us to be able to take care of themselves, self-sufficient, what would be a good way to do that?
Eliminate the hunting.
Fire,
and
water,
if you can't take the guns away because they've tried that and it ain't working, what can you take away? Take away the food source.
It's scary. Yeah, David says, where's Steve with his tinfoil hat?
Unfortunately, Steve's at work tonight. But I'm sure in spirit he's already got his tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, he's gonna wish he was here for this one.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is.
Dude, it's true.
You got to look at that element and say, what if?
Well, there's a lot of evidence that Lyme disease wasn't naturally occurring.
Yeah. Sure is quiet here in the chat.
And I know that's the conspiracy theory thing that that you shot, but honestly though, is it really that far of a stretch considering what we've seen and what's happened?
No.
Curse says start a bunch of wildfires.
I mean, what's the best way to eradicate a species? Kill off their food source.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just a redneck from Mississippi.
Same here. Well, Missouri, but just a redneck.
South Carolina. But that's and with if that was really what was going on, people were going to say, well, don't you think things would have started happening sooner? No, I really don't, because up until probably, what would you say, Doc, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they really kind of had us in hand. But over the past 4 or 5 years, people really more people who weren't in that same frame of mind have started waking up and seeing what's really going on.
Absolutely, dude.
So,
absolutely.
How long has CWD been a problem, DA? A major problem?
It's really gotten bad in the last couple of decades, but I can't remember when the first recording.
I was going to say about the last 20 years, man. Yeah.
So, okay, and now my question for you, Doc. How long would it take something like that to get to where it's at the stage where it's at right now? It would have to fester for a while, right?
Yeah, you're going to have a period where, not to sound weird, but to where it's not well known, is isolated, and then it becomes more clustered in certain locations, certain geographical areas. Kind
of like it's doing right now.
I didn't say that, but yeah.
Kind of like that. Not really, but kind of like that, right?
I said that without saying that for a reason. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, okay, so if it affects us as hominids, would it not affect the other people who have hominid traits but aren't entirely hominid?
What if it was originally designed to control their population?
And there was some interspecies crossover. Wow, holy shit, dude! We're getting
unintended
interspecies deep, man.
Crossover. Yeah, we are.
I mean, but is it not plausible? I mean, that's not. We're not pulling any kind of scientific mumbo jumbo out of our bunghole. That's entirely plausible, man.
Richard Cox wants to know: is it documented that deer are passing CWD to cattle?
I don't know.
Well, I think the cattle version is just mad cow.
Yeah, that's Steve and I have talked about the Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, but it's very similar, man.
Yeah, they're both prion diseases.
Yeah, it's very, very similar.
So, but 6 1 half dozen another of what it was maybe created for. But if it's actually doing what it's doing and serving that purpose, kind of like DA said, why are they taking all these deer bodies and just mass incinerating them?
Right.
If they don't want something seen. I mean, if it's no big secret that okay, they got CWD.
I mean, because we've been hunting deer and elk and other ungulates for centuries on this continent. And it's just become a thing in the last 20, 30 years.
Makes you wonder if it's not GMOs that caused it.
Makes you wonder. I didn't say
Make
that.
you go,
I didn't say that, DA. But I said it without saying it. It's one of these things that makes you raise your finger up and go, wait a second. Why was this not an issue many years ago? Is it documentation? Or is it just something that, is a population control?
Tim's asked, does fire even destroy CWD?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Fire is the only thing, total immolation is the only thing that kills the prion.
okay,
So you have to burn it.
You just used a very, very key term there, Doc. You said population control. What did a certain well-known, very well-off in a big
I know where you're going with this, brother. Yeah.
What was one of the things that he said? And make no mistake, this guy is not a scientist. He just got a lot of money because he made these things we're using right now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, I mean, if it would control our population, would it not control a cryptid population as well?
I just about bet you it would.
Still Harrington said, how widespread is the wasting disease?
Why do you need to control that population, though, is my question. Yeah. What do they know that we don't know? Or what does that population know that they don't want us to know?
I don't know, man. I mean,
is there something? Thanks, Ken. I would have never figured that out.
Estelle Harrington said, how widespread is chronic wasting disease?
Right now, it's very widespread through my region.
Here too.
Through the Midwest. I mean, from Western Tennessee up to Northern Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, up to and including Idaho. So it's pretty prevalent. In the Southeast, not so much. In the extreme West, from like Oregon, Nevada, California, Washington, Arizona, not so much. But from Missouri up to Idaho is very widespread.
Arkansas has it as well, quite a bit.
Yeah. The Ozarks have it as well. Yeah.
And I know Missouri Department of Conservation, anytime that they get reports of chronic wasting in an area, they go in and they try to take out as many deer in that area as they can and burn them. They are doing what they can to try to stop chronic wasting. However, again, it may not have been specifically targeted at us.
Okay, and here's another question with that. If they're doing everything they can to stop it, by stopping it, they're killing all these deer and they're burning all these deer. What are they doing to the deer population?
Brooks says, I'm in New Mexico and we have a lot of deer and elk. Haven't heard any warnings of it here. Good.
Yeah. Not really in New Mexico.
T. Davis says, got the first confirmed case in Louisiana last year.
And I think we'll see more.
I think we will. I think,
like
Lyme disease, the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah. All right. I'll be right back. I got it.
All right, brother. All right.
Sorry.
Papa Bear says it's been detected in 31 states. So it is pretty widespread.
And like I said, I know we're getting deep down the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theory, but you kind of have to when you start looking at the way this, and that's what theories are.
Right.
They're ideas that we kick around, kind of throw it at the wall and see what sticks. I mean, for lack of a better term. But just, like you said, they go in guns blazing, pardon the pun, and take care of this population, or, they get as many. Are they out there testing every single deer that they're killing to say for sure that this has? We don't know. I'm not asking that. It's a rhetorical question because I know there's not an answer to that. They tell us they are, but how do we know that for sure?
Right.
So there again, that begs the question: what is that doing to the deer population? Which in turn, was it doing to cryptids? Was it doing to us who actually hunt and use
other big game that rely on the deer?
Other big game. I mean,
wolves, mountain lions, everything.
It's just like Doc
every
said.
Large predator.
How long have we hunted deer, elk, moose, things like that on this continent? Long time, but all of a sudden, over the past
Billy
couple
Mitchum says we're in the CWE protocol here in parts of North Carolina. Papa Bear says most of the chronic wasting disease in Illinois is around Chicagoland. And it does continue to spread. I worry about chronic wasting disease.
I'm by no means saying that chronic wasting disease is not a real thing. But is it an engineered thing or is it a guided thing?
Right.
And if it's either one, what's the purpose for it? And that's just to me. If they're trying to
this might be a better question for Doc than for me. Hollywall Wolf says, how do they test for CDW? How would someone who hunts their property without a license test deer?
You've got to submit that to your local game and fish guys, your wardens. They have to test the brain tissue for it.
Right. There you go. Let me put that one up. Delois Montgomery says, I think CWD has been started for those of us that process our own deer.
And when you walked up, the question I asked Doc, and it's a rhetorical question, all these deer that they're immolating, do we know for sure if they're testing them all to see if they've got chronic wasting disease?
Well, it's taking huge chunks out of the deer population, and it might actually decimate it to the point where they outlaw hunting.
Yeah, and the safest thing is before you process your meat, hang that deer up and take the brain and submit it for testing for CWD.
A lot of check-in stations have testing.
Yeah.
David By just made a comment on that. He said a lot of places where it's prevalent, they have check stations during deer season. And I know here in Missouri, once you've bagged your deer, you're supposed to check it in, and they test it on site there.
Yeah.
And a lot of places, like if you have your deer processed, I'm not a meat cutter. There's 2 or 3 places here. There's one in Republic, one out in little town just west of here. I cannot for the life of me think of the name of it. But there are 2 or 3 little towns in the area that have processing plants that will process your deer in during deer season, and they always test it again.
It's never a bad idea, man. I mean, because if we get what CWD is, which is Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, that is a hard way to go, man. I have seen people go with that in the hospital, and that is a brutal way to go.
Mark Napier says, what if it's a test of a binary poison and taking away an alternative food source at the same time?
And there again, that's one of them things.
Yeah.
Did my audio go out again?
No, I hear you.
I didn't hear I didn't see the yellow ring around it. That usually shows stops when my audio goes out.
There it is.
Yep.
Okay, cool. But there again, that's one of those theories. That's a very sound theory too. Who knows? And could this be? And I'm really asking you this part, Doc. Could this just be a naturally occurring thing that has happened, or is this more likely something that was either engineered or guided?
It absolutely could be something that is a natural thing. Could it be Darwinism? Weeding out the less robust. Yeah, but let me change hats here. And could it be something engineered to take out a food source? Yeah.
Yeah.
It could go either way.
Wolf says, I know a lot of people hunt their property in and out of season because that's how they eat. They look at it as the natives didn't hunt deer according to a season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I grew up with people like that in Mississippi. They fed their families with what they killed because they were way. I mean, the poverty line had a shadow on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were way below.
Hartington says, I'm in Maine and someone posted a deer eating a squirrel. Isn't that a sign?
Well, there was that one we posted a while back that had a deer eating a snake.
Yeah, yep. Another one would eat a deer eating a rabbit.
I think somebody said something about creating zombie deer a little while ago.
Well, and when they had a question about, can you tell if a deer has CWD by looking at it? It kind of looks like a Wendigo, Lene.
Yeah,
it's very skeletal looking.
In fact, they sometimes call them zombie deer.
Yeah,
they'll walk weird. They'll behave weird. Sometimes they'll just fall down. But that's in advanced cases. It could still have it in its early stages, and you not even be able to tell.
So, Haliwa Wolf said, Doc, how would someone test a deer they killed out of season? Man, I don't know. I mean, I
don't know if there's a home test for it.
Yeah, I mean that's I hit this deer with my car or whatever, and I wanted to get some of the backstrap. Does this have CWD? I don't know, man. I mean, because sustenance hunting is a real thing, man. I grew up around poor people. Dude, I was poor, so I just
Googled this. There's a company called Priosense CWD muscle testing kit for $45. You can order a multiple test pack to test deer yourself for CWD.
There you go.
Company's called Priosense. So there are home testing kits for CWD now.
Well, that makes sense. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, we are not condoning on poaching of animals out of season. Just let y'all know.
Nope.
But if you own a farm, you're allowed to take deer out of season. They have to have so many acreage.
If it's a depredation tag, yeah, and they're affecting your crops, absolutely.
Estelle Hartington says, is a deer eating a squirrel a sign of CWD? I think it can be. But I can't say 100% that is a sure sign, because there are animals that will eat that are normally herbivores that will sometimes eat bone and other things when they need calcium.
Well, porcupines eat bones.
Mm-hmm. Porcupines definitely eat bones.
That's right.
But did you get a chance to read that book that I told you about, DA? I can't remember if I told you about it or not, Doc. Maybe I did, but the one about the the clan of Bigfoot that had rabies?
No, I have not had a chance to pick up a copy of it yet.
Did I tell you? Did you? Okay, remember when we had our show on what we're talking about right now? On the Wendigo and the chronic wasting disease and all that stuff that played it when I was in Texas. You remember that?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I think everything. Yes.
All right. We had that conversation, and I told you this. So coming home, I was like, I gotta have something, and so I looked through and found this book called Bigfoot. I think it's Bigfoot Hunters. Wasn't that the name of it, DA?
Yeah, like that was the name of it.
And the main part of the story was this clan of Bigfoot that had caught rabies. It tied right in with everything that we had talked about on that show.
I need to get a copy of that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Roxanne Delgado says, name of the book, please. Was it Bigfoot Hunters, Sasquatch Hunters? What was it?
No, it's Bigfoot Hunters because the second title is called Cryptid.
Okay. Now, Robbie, we just lost your audio. Can't hear you. You just mid-sentence just went right out.
He gone. It happened earlier than it usually does.
Yeah, it did. Well, we're 1 hour, 37 minutes, so pretty close.
Dude, it's almost been 2 hours already.
Yeah, we're flying.
Man. This has been fast and furious tonight, man.
Folks, we got 175 people watching us in the chat, 115 likes on the on the video. If you got a second, please hit that like, share, and subscribe. It really does help the algorithm, helps the channel continue to grow, and we would sure appreciate it if you think we've earned that thumbs up. So if you're enjoying the program, we would sure appreciate it if you'd give the video a like, because it helps us show up in more of the YouTube algorithms and helps us keep growing the channel. Dr. 45-120 Sharp says, whoever runs the place where they place human bodies out. Oh, the body farms. Know that the bodies are returned to nature's recorded deer chewing on human bones. Yeah, I've seen videos of that.
How you doing?
Say something. There we go. We got him.
That's not terrifying at all.
I can't help it, Doc. I was born this way.
There she is.
Anywho, yes, the title of the book is Bigfoot Hunters, and the second one is, I think, called Cryptid Hunters. But the first one, and it tied right into that whole show that we just had. So I will check it out.
Remember who it's by?
I can tell you in just about 2 seconds. Let me pull my Audible account up.
Is it R. Galtieri?
Yep, that would be it.
It's book 1 of 3.
It's, and I was, I'm not doing the, it's not up to your quality, but it's not bad comparatively.
They do have a bundle. I don't want it in Kindle, though. I can get all 3 in hardback for $47.97. Well, Annette's going to murder me, but those just went in the cart. She's going to say, what are you putting in the cart now? Will you stop it? Did they go in the cart? Hang on. I'm checking. I want to make sure I got them in there. No, they did not. All right. We were going to do this again. Got them. Okay, they're in the cart. Doesn't mean she's going to order them for me, but... Sorry, I was looking to see if I missed any questions.
Sorry.
So the basic premise of that book.
Did you see this, Doc?
Oh, sorry. I was laughing at something Ken texted me. Say again.
The comment here.
Yeah, I sent Kate Bowers a reply to that. I said, "That's awesome." Also, he is right.
Hell yeah.
Because we don't put second-rate crap in our stuff. I'm just saying.
Birthdays in boxes.
That's a fact.
Not. You say boxers?
Yeah, birthdays and boxers. There we
Box is.
Okay, I was gonna say. Well, I mean, that could be also a true thing too.
It's that South Crackalacky accent that threw us off.
You may pack them while you're standing there in your boxers. I don't know. I ain't never watched it, so.
I mean, boxers versus briefs has a definite effect on the spermatic effect.
I think that's I think that's another show altogether. You know, that goes around. That goes with the was it the pair with the rubber band, DA?
Yeah, the Bartlett pear with a rubber band wrapped around it.
Yeah.
I don't wear a Speedo because I have respect for other people. Nobody wants to see that, not even me. Ken says that class is going to be a hoot.
Oh, it's going to get stupid in that class. Yeah, we're gonna have a great time. I know Robbie's going to be there. Ken's going to be there. His daughter's going to be there. So I've had 3 people in the chat say they got their kits. So Lori and Lene and Mark, thank y'all so much for ordering from us. I really appreciate that. Thank y'all.
Robbie, don't worry at the class. Ken will be there to explain the big words to you.
That's okay, Robbie. I break it down caveman style, so we're there, man. We're there.
I'm about to raise my hand. The doc be like, yes, what is it? He picking on me.
I'll be wearing a multicam Borat mankini in class, so you know.
Robbie's going to be standing in one corner with his nose in it. Ken's going to be in the other.
He started it.
Oh, Ken's going to be in the other corner just needling the hell out of him. I can see that happening already.
Ken says, I'm going to have to hold his hand.
Yeah, November is going to be a fun class, boys. That's all I can tell you.
David Bice says you ain't going to get any teaching done.
Oh, my God. It's going to be – it's going to be –
Lori Barnes wants to know if she can I be at the class on video?
I don't know if we're going to live stream that one or not. It might not be safe for work. Oh, mercy day. Woo. I got the vapors. I got the vapors. Oh, Lord. Yeah, poor Taylor's. Is Taylor going to come to class, Robbie?
She can get off.
All right.
Well, actually, I think if she's back on the other vacation, that will be her weekend off because she'll be back opposite of me because that's my weekend to work. Because
man, it would be hilarious if you and your daughter were there and Ken and his daughter were there. That's gonna be a fun class.
It'd be me and Ken embarrassing our daughters. It'd be like, would y'all? Oh my God, would y'all please stop?
You shut up.
Yeah. I can see the daughter's expression. The entire class will be, oh my God, Dad, seriously?
They'll just go sit somewhere else and pretend they don't know them.
They'll sit together. They'll sit together and be like, no way. Mercy, day in the morning.
Pinky Pine Knot Yoder says, Doc, you need to start selling CWD test kits.
Yeah, that would only be for a select group of folks, man. I just got to see how much they cost.
I think it said they were like $45 on that one, the website I was looking at.
That wouldn't be bad. That'd be hilarious. And then Haliwa Wolf 92 says, don't forget a dictionary so you can show him as you pronounce the words. Robbie, we
love you, brother.
It's
like Papa Bear's tapping out. Have a good night, man. Thanks for being here.
Papa Bear. Robbie's gonna be there going, Sonny B, what are you doing to me, man?
Don't
Hey.
don't worry, Robbie. If Ken gets too froggy, just put your hand on his head and hold him at arm's length. He won't
Hey,
be able to reach you.
Yep.
But you know what? You know what, Robbie? I teach this class to SWAT cops all the time, and they actually understand it. Bless their little hearts. So, you know, I know you'll get some out of it.
You know, like I said, I just went to that class in Alabama, and we took our test the first day, and I made a 96 on my test, so I'm pretty confident I've got it.
See, you are.
To answer Robert D's question, yes, I can read. I can read really well. Thank you very
Robert
much.
D. Robbie is a fart smeller. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
As much as we like to give Robbie crap, he is a pretty sharp dude.
Robbie is hey, here's the thing, man. And Robbie and DA we've all said this. Just because I talk slow, don't mean I am slow.
Dee's asked, by chance, has there been a good cam shot or a picture of a Wendigo? Is this just speculation and folklore of what they might look like? Most of what we have is description. I don't know of any actual good photos of Wendigo. However, the one case happened in 1999 where that guy just out of nowhere started eating another dude on a Canadian bus. And there were no physical changes. He just looked absolutely normal. He just attacked the guy on the bus and started eating him. And they called it Wendigo psychosis. And in the Swift Runner case, that also happened. Do what?
Didn't he behead him too?
Yeah, I think he cut his head off with a pocket knife. When they finally subdued the guy, he had strips of the guy's flesh stripped from the body in Ziploc bags in his pockets.
Ugh.
Dude's out. The dude never went to prison either. He went to a mental institution and is out now.
So, but I think the question that was kind of leaning towards is why did they name it that if this is just
right? Yeah, why wouldn't you call it Wendigo psychosis if Wendigo is?
I mean, because you could have called it zombie psychosis for
right
because zombies eat people
That's
too.
True. Well, because what's the thing always been is like a shaman or medicine man who has consumed human flesh and who has went over to the dark side, right?
No, what you're kind of mixing that with the skinwalker.
Skinwalker.
Wendigo is just basically somebody that went to that was cursed.
They went to the dark side
after eating flesh. Let me see if I've got a decent picture of kind of what a Wendigo would look like.
I know one thing: they freaking hate snowmobiles.
No, just your snowmobile, Doc.
Well,
here
maybe
you go.
so.
Here you go, Doc. This is the Wendigo that Doc spotted. Let me bring that up. There we go.
Is that your snowmobile, Doc?
After he got done assaulting my snowmobile, it didn't look like that. There was fiberglass everywhere. So
that's a bitchy.
That's not even funny, Doug. Yeah.
Well, you're welcome. I need to get that on a shirt for you. But based on Native American descriptions, this is a pretty good image of Wendigo.
They're always very skeletal in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Because they cannot get enough to eat.
They're always hungry.
Insatiable hunger. Ken said he'd disagree with us and say they love snowmobiles.
Maybe so. Maybe it's just my snowmobile. Hey, I'm glad the dude didn't enjoy me in the book. That's all I gotta say. He can have my snowmobile as long as he doesn't come after me because I'd just be a snack.
That's rather terrifying.
Would not want to run into that in the woods.
No.
Lori Barnes says, Doc, you saw that. What we're referring to is a scene from one of the books. Although there was a Wendigo sighting not far from where Doc lives. In fact, they abandoned a Girl Scout camp because of sightings. Doc, we can't hear you, man. I guess it was your turn. I guess it was your turn to conk out.
Damn satellites. That's probably what he said.
I guess Doc will be right back. Ken says that Wendigo is on the juice. He's swole. There he is.
Hello.
How you doing?
How you doing? How's your mama and them and the dogs?
Tolerable.
No, it's like DA said, the Girl Scout camp became a church camp, and they told my daughters, don't go beyond the perimeters of the camp at all after sundown. And they mentioned the W word, and there has also been a W word sighting mentioned not more than 30 miles from my house up on Pikes Peak. I can see Pikes Peak from my picture window of my house.
It makes you wonder if they aren't there because if they aren't in Colorado because of the Donner Party.
That's a good point, dude. I've never even thought about that correlation. Yeah.
That would make absolute sense.
Absolutely, it would.
That was a mass act of cannibalism.
Yeah. Which would invoke that whole cannibalistic spirit they talk about.
Right.
Yep.
Bring down the curse of the Wendigo.
Dude. I've never even thought about that.
At all. A little terrifying.
Yeah.
But it certainly would fit. And that's not far from there.
No, it's not. And I'm never going snowmobiling up there again. Ever, never. I've been snowmobiling up there before, but yeah, during the daylight.
Doc's trading in his snowmobile for an armored snowcat.
Yeah. Holy yeah. Dude, that's a great point, dude. I've never thought about that.
To me, you think cannibalism, that's just immediate there. Immediate, first thing comes to mind. But you double down on that. You talk about cannibalism acts. That happened here in Missouri just a few years ago.
Really?
There were two guys busted right out there at Moon Valley, where that short story I set, place I've gone camping dozens of times. There were two guys arrested because for years they'd been abducting people and butchering them like deer at their house. No joke. Look up Dallas County, Missouri cannibal.
Good Lord.
And that was just a few years ago.
That's not terrifying at all.
Yeah,
I'm going to sleep great
pretty
tonight.
Horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to sleep great tonight. Thanks.
Apparently they'd been doing it for years, probably even back in the day when I was camping down there.
Well, there are very few movies that actually get to me. Obviously, like we've talked about.
Ken's heading out. Good night, Ken.
Yep. Night, Ken. Obviously, Bone Tomahawk, but for a different reason. Ravenous. It wasn't that I couldn't watch it like Bone Tomahawk. It was just unnerving. Ravenous was just one of those movies that's just like very, very disturbing. And I wasn't it based on somewhat of a true story?
I think it is. Eric Testerman says he remembers the Dallas County cannibal. He says he knows some of the guy's family. Yeah, that happened just fairly recently. Just right out there, not 30 miles from where I'm sitting right now.
Holy crap, man. Man.
Dees says, I know in northern upper Minnesota borderline been reports of Wendigo. That's the reason he was asking. Well, that's the reason because of the Wendigo sighting reports is why I chose the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as the scene for the scene of the Wendigo attack in Curse of the Wendigo. That's exactly why I chose that area, because there are a bunch of sightings.
Dude, yeah. No ice fishing for me.
Doc, staying the hell off the frozen lakes.
Nope. That's a big negative.
Negatory Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Yeah. Pine Knot Yoder said, "Damn, Doc, so I can see you in your Speedo through the window when I go on Pikes Peak. Yay." Well, I mean, I ain't paying for your therapy or anything, but, you know, get on down with your bad self if you got some binoculars that good.
Lori Barnes says there are also people that feed other people to the pigs. Yeah, I've heard of that happening in Missouri on more than one occasion.
Mr. Wu did it in Deadwood all the time.
Damn right he did. For a fee, he'd feed anybody to the pigs.
What was that movie that they taught where they took the people who had witnessed something, they took them to the pig farm and chopped them up and fed them to the pigs?
That sounds familiar.
Snatch.
Was that Snatch that did that?
Yeah. Bricktop did that to his folks.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
So beware of any man who says greedy as a pig.
Dags. You got dags? Dags.
Oh, you mean dogs? Yeah, I like dogs. Yeah. Oh, mercy. Dang.
Boys, we are at the 2-hour mark. It's probably a good point to talk about our good folks with the affiliate program and start calling in the dogs, as we are at the 2-hour mark. I wouldn't mind going longer, but I know Robbie and Doc both got to get up, and unfortunately, I do have to get up early. My aunt's funeral's in the morning, so.
Oh man.
So I'm gonna get up and get ready fairly early in the morning. Doc, you want to tell us a little bit about Dark Angel Medical?
Well,
One of these days, I'm going to throw you a curveball and tell you to tell us about Scallywag and make Robbie do Dark Angel.
Hey, dude, I'll do it, man. I'll do it. I think we're all well versed. So this is our infomercial break towards the end of the show. Dark Angel Medical is a company I started back in 2011 with the prime directive, I like to call it. You like that? It's our prime directive of getting people not only the solid product, but also the education behind it and how to use it and when to use it and how to use it. So if you head over to darkangelmedical.com and use the discount code Cryptid25, that'll give you 25% off of your order. And all of our orders are HSA, FSA eligible. And if you use one of our kits to save someone else's life, we will replace what you have used 100% free of charge. That's called our Kit for Life Guarantee. We sell anything from minor trauma kits to mass casualty kits. So our motto is basically there's no excuse not to carry a trauma kit with you at all. You have to have the trauma kit with you because life's eventualities will catch up with you, and you will need to be able to be the one to respond efficiently, effectively, and decisively to the situation that is presented to you. So you have to have a trauma kit with you. If you're not carrying one with you, it's an excuse, not a reason. So head over to darkangelmedical.com and check us out. We do training all over the U.S. If you can't do an in-person training, we do online training as well as YouTube videos that are tutorial in nature, but do not replace an in-person training session. So check us out at darkangelmedical.com.
And be the difference.
And be the difference. That's all I got to say about that.
Robbie, you want to tell us a little bit about Scallywag Tactical?
Sure, Scallywag. No, I can't do the Steve thing.
Seriously.
Scallywag Tactical Excuse me. It's hard to do that and breathe at the same time. Scallywag Tactical is another veteran-owned company that we proudly represent and is one of our affiliates. They make some of the best folders, fixed blade knives, kitchen knives, just about any kind of knife you can think of, you know. And those of you who've been here have seen us do this spiel, but it really is the honest truth about the matter. We don't.
The bad fish is a damn fine filleting knife. I can tell you that.
Yeah, we don't sit here and say this just because. DA puts them in his books because he likes the knives. I mean, he's got almost every knife they have.
Not quite.
He's getting there. He's getting close.
I'm working on it.
It's like he's got a new one every 2 or 3 shows, Doc. He's got a new one.
Like that, yeah.
I want that new tomahawk.
I sell med kits and med kit accessories. Damn it, Bobby! I sell knives and knife accessories.
Grab my hand, Doc. They'll swarm to me. I broke him.
Scallywag also has a YouTube channel, and one of their instructors is a guy by the name of Mike Donavito. And if you look up "badass" in the dictionary, you're probably going to see a picture of Mike Donavito next to that definition. The dude is death on a stick, and he shows what. Well, I'll show you the exact knife, but oh, it's in the other room. I'm sorry, I don't have my Doc. You got your gunner's mate handy?
No.
No, mine's in the other room.
But he in a freaking tub back here behind me.
He shows what he can do with a gunner's mate. They hung up an entire pig, and he took that gunner's mate and was cutting through ribs all the way to down through the rib bones, all the way to the spine. That knife is amazing in the hands of somebody that knows what they're doing, and Mike Donavito truly does. But definitely check out Scallywag's YouTube channel. There you go. That's Smexy.
That's a knife. How's that, Toombs?
That's not a knife. This is a knife. But
anyway, they've got great knives. They're on par with Kershaw, Spyderco, any of these big brand name knives that you can come up with. But they're a small company, and they're a company that if you got a problem with their product, you can actually talk to them. You got a problem with a Spyderco or a Kershaw or something like that, you're just a number. You're just somebody who bought one of their knives, and they don't care. They got their money, and they don't care. But Craig's going to be the kind that's going to send you an email when you send him something saying, "Hey, I was a dummy and broke the tip of my knife off, Steve." But he's gonna take care of you. As Steve likes to say, after he scolded him and explained how you don't use a knife, but
it's not a prying tool.
Yep. But the whole thing is, he made a customer for life with Steve just because of how he handled that situation.
Because the boarding axe, on the other hand, you could pry open King Tut's tomb with that son of a gun.
But if you use one inappropriately, you may need a Dark Angel medical kit.
I was getting there, Doc. I was getting there. Because when you got one of these knives, they'll cut you 3 ways.
Long, deep, and continuous.
Sorry, over here. Yes. So, but go check out Scallywag Tactical. Go stop by their blemish blade section, as I always like to mention that, because you can find really good deals. This $45 knife that I got for $15. The knife and the shipping were less than the knife retails for, and there's nothing wrong with this knife. It was just the box that was messed up. The box was the blim, because that's what it's called, blim blades.
Blim.
But go check them out, and then when you get your cart full at checkout, put code DA Roberts 10 and get yourself an extra 10% off, because all that stuff stacks up. And then take all the money that you saved on your knives and go buy yourself a Dark Angel medical kit for when you become like me and DA and cut yourself with these knives.
Yeah. But
Got a
like
new
Ken
subscriber.
said, but Ken
Cindy
said
Simpson.
this
Thank you
too.
for subscribing, Cindy.
Ken said this too. Your blade is not your blade until you sanctify
bled
it
on it.
with blood.
Facts.
Well, then I guess I've got a lot of blades that are really mine. I've nicked them. I've nicked myself with lots of them over the years.
David,
near every razor that I own is mine too.
yeah. David Bay wants what's the count up to? 172.
Nice. And don't forget, the discount, the 10% discount does work on the blemished blades.
Mm-hmm.
Use discount code DA Roberts 10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order.
And like I said, take that money you saved by using code DA Roberts 10 and go get you a Dark Angel medical kit, and then use that code.
Discount code Cryptid25
and save yourself some more money.
Heck yeah.
More money, more money, more money. What?
And that leads us to our third affiliate. And that would be Ken Brock, who already dipped out on us. Ken Brock from BrockBlades.com makes custom knives. He's a career law enforcement. He makes these knives in a shop at his house. They're all made by hand. Well, Scallywag blades are amazing. They are mass produced, but they are high quality mass produced. You know, if you put two Gunner's mates next to each other, they're identical. You put two Jolly Rogers next to each other, they're identical. They're fantastic blades, but they're identical. All of Ken's blades are custom made. There's no two ever identical. They're high quality blades. They're made to order. There are ones on BrockBlades.com that you can order that are already made, or you can order a custom and have, choose the blade style, the handle style, the material. There's a lot of options that you can choose. And if you've got anybody in your life that's an outdoorsman, veteran, active or former, active duty or former member, or anybody that's a first responder, or anybody that even hunts or fishes, the gift of a custom knife is something that will be treasured, and you can do a lot to customize it and even personalize it. There's a lot of options there on BrockBlades.com. Ken's an awesome guy, a longtime friend of the channel, longtime friend of ours, and he just makes an awesome product. Beautiful knives. Again, they're all individuals. There's no two identical, and they're high quality, which is why I chose the Ardennes as Will Gray Eagle's personal knife in the books and short stories. But if you go over to BrockBlades.com, again, there are blades that are already made that you can order, or you can custom order. If you order one that's already made, you can use discount code Cryptid10 at checkout. Or if you're ordering a custom, make sure that you mention in the custom description that you heard about BrockBlades.com through DAX Machina, and he'll still give you the full 10% off. So definitely head over there and check them out.
Yes. What do you have to say about that, Robbie?
That's all I got to say about that.
So my brother Carly said, "You sound just like Del Gribble." I said, "Yeah." Robbie is hilarious.
I'm what you call an impressionist.
I are too.
I'm just impressionable.
I think that was one of the first things that me and you hit it off with each other was our impressionist.
Impressionistics.
Yeah, that word.
Yeah, I do too. Dude, this has been a great show. Thank y'all so much for being here with us.
Definitely.
Really
Thank you guys for spending your evening with us. We had a hell of a good time. But just kind of sum things up, if you're one of the folks that sent us questions about what to look for, is there a sustainable habitat to keep them in your area? Is there food, water, and shelter? Are you hearing strange noises? Is there something that's walking on your porch at night, turning your doorknob? There are things you can watch for. Some things that seem to be universal. There's got to be water, there's got to be shelter, there's got to be food. Those are pretty much constants with any animal. But then there are things that are uniquely Bigfoot. You can hear the howls, you can hear the calls, you can find tree structures. Medicinal plants are also something. That's one of the things we've noticed here in Missouri with several researchers, that some of these bowed trees are marking areas with a lot of medicinal plants.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that's a universal thing. I'm not saying that that's even something that might be happening in anywhere other part of the country. But I've talked to 3 or 4 researchers here in Missouri that said, yeah, now that you've mentioned it, I have found this, and this near these tree bows.
Oh, real quick, there, you want me to drop about Lone Wolf Customs, about how things
Yeah.
are.
Oh, absolutely.
I know, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but things are pretty much ramped up. We don't have the website or anything yet, but there's already been some people that made some orders. Those are going out on Friday. Miss Lene made an order. Who else? Karen Polson got an order. So there's going to be some orders going out on Friday. I've kind of got a good handle on things now. I've been showing Doc and DA some of the stuff that we've been doing, and I think we've got a pretty good handle on the things that we're going to offer, the things that we're going to do. So if anybody has any wild hunt, any Dark Angel medical, anything from, pretty much anything from the books. I think we did I think who got the Man's Marauder? I think David got the Man's Marauder. Yeah, he just said his came in yesterday. He got the whiskey flask. We can do those. We did put the Man's Marauder symbol on those. Those turned out really good.
Those did look really good.
So if anybody's got any orders, DA, if you'll put my email address up there, because I for whatever reason it won't let me put it in there. But if you'll put that up,
it set up as a
no, we hadn't got that far yet, I don't guess. But if you'll put it up there, it's on the Tombs got it.
Oh, Tombs already beat me to it.
Yep.
I need to set it up as just like I do with the affiliates. I'll try to get that done before Saturday.
So if anybody's got any orders, what Tombs just put up right there, that email address, send me what you want. Tell me what it is. We'll figure out, or we'll discuss price, and then shipping. Obviously has to go into that too. But we're going to get it bigger than what it is. But obviously that's going to take some time. But I think the three of us have kind of pretty much figured out a product line of what we're going to. Whiskey flasks, water bottles, tumblers, things like that. We can even do some of them things. We ain't gonna say what they are, but you know what they is. So there's a lot of different things we can do. So either hit me up, hit DA up, hit Doc up, let us know what you want, and we'll get it taken care of. And what am I gonna say now, Doc?
That's all I gotta say about that.
While you're talking, you might as well talk about what's really out there.
Well, there's not really much to say about that I didn't say last time. We're still in kind of in limbo. We don't have a place to record right yet. Some internal things that just have changed. We're still trying to find a place, and obviously we will have, whether we have a place or not, we'll make the recording for the thing that we're joining with the other channels for. We just might not have a actual set place like we've had in the past. So that hadn't changed as far as that part yet. But we're working on it. So just bear with us. We've got an episode that we recorded, but until we get everything straightened out, I don't know. And it was actually a pretty cool episode, which I hate to say because it was me and Taylor, because she actually came in and it was our 48th episode. So Johnny was sick that night. So Taylor came in, actually sat in and actually did the show with me, which was pretty cool.
Awesome.
That's pretty rad.
Yep. But we've got it, so it'll be there, or it'll be out eventually. So y'all just bear with me. Don't unsubscribe, please. Go back and listen to some of the other episodes.
Yeah, definitely check them all out. There's some good ones. There's some really good
Yeah,
episodes.
we're at 397, I think, on YouTube. So we're just a little over 100 away from being able to monetize. And once we can do that, we can actually start putting some money back into the show. Because that was some of the internal changes we had to make. Some of the equipment we had to go away. And DA and Doc know what I'm talking about, but I'm not gonna air that dirty laundry. That's not what we do here.
That's right.
But some of that equipment had to go away. So that's part of the struggle too. We've got stuff, but we've got to replace stuff too. So that's part of the issue too. So anybody wants to go subscribe and help us get to 500, that'll kind of help that out.
Yeah, make sure you go over and give them a like, share, and subscribe. Folks, one thing I want to touch on before we wrap things up is a subject that's always near and dear to my heart, and that's the 22 a day foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many. I'm wearing my officer down memorial bracelet today because I gave my 22 a day bracelet to a friend of mine. He's a veteran, and he's had some struggles, and I'm not going to say any names or mention anybody, but he knows who it is. Yeah, I hope he's listening, and we're thinking of you, brother. But if you know someone that's a first responder or a veteran or active duty military, people, in these lines of work, it's men and women in uniform, have seen horrible things and things that haunt them. And not all of it's combat related. Some of it's just, sometimes it's just a rough world. So, even if you've got veterans and friends that may not have seen combat, that doesn't mean they're not dealing with demons. We lose 22 veterans a day, and that is entirely too many. Let's get that number down to 0. Reach out to your friends and family that are first responders and veterans, and let them know you're thinking about them. And even if it's just a "Hey, fuck, are you awake?" text at 2:00 in the morning, just reach out, because that one text, "Hey, thinking of you. Let's go grab a bite to eat. How you doing? I miss you, brother." Just something small like that might be what pulls him back from the edge that day. And I've seen too many people handed that folded flag. I've watched that flag be folded off a coffin way too many times, and I don't want to see it anymore. But think of the 22 a day project and the Valhalla project. Those are both great charities, and they also have some great merchandise for sale. I just bought some stuff from Valhalla tonight. I've got a new T-shirt that I can't wait to get, and I got another 22 a day bracelet to wear because I wore it all the time. But the profits from these go 100% into veterans charities. There's a lot of these bigger groups, and we all know which ones they are. But a lot of these bigger groups, every dollar you give them, maybe 10 cents of that actually makes it to the veterans. Most of it goes to salaries for these big organizations. But 22 a day foundation, Valhalla project, these are for veterans by veterans, and they're doing some amazing stuff. And they as much of it as they can put into it goes back to the veterans. Once they pay the overhead and the cost of the materials when they send stuff out, the rest goes to the veterans, and that's as it should be. These guys do it because they're all veterans themselves, and they've all been there. So go check out the Valhalla project. You can get some really cool coffee mugs and T-shirts, and there's some really good ones over there that if you're proud of your family members that have been in service, you'll find some really awesome T-shirts over there. But that's just one of those things that we always kind of tip our hat to the men and women who have kept us safe and kept us free, and something we will always do. We are thankful for every one of them. The phrase, all gave some and some gave all. And that's a debt we can never, ever truly repay. So thank you to each and every one of the men and women out there that have put their ass on the line to help us stay safe and stay free. So we'll wrap it up tonight with the toast, like we have been doing. We're doing one thing different, but I'm putting the toast up on the screen. That way, y'all can say it along with me. And since I've got it up on the screen, Robbie and Doc can join me. That I don't just have to wait for me to say it. But you know, I'm attending a funeral myself tomorrow. And Doc just lost Ranger, and it, you know, losing something a dog that's been part of your life for its whole life can be just as traumatic as losing a person. And we've all been there. I cried like a little kid when I lost Coda, my bull mastiff. So, you know, and dogs are natural healers. They can get you through some of the roughest times. And that's something I will never forget that my dogs have all done for me. And Aunt Violet was my mother's oldest sister. My mother was the oldest of the girls, but Violet was the oldest of the sisters. And she's the last of the sisters to go. And we'll pay our final respects to Aunt Violet tomorrow. And that long story. It's just, let's just say it's been a hell of a week. Hits just keep coming, but I'm still swinging and I'm still here, and I'm going to continue to be here for the people I care about, my brothers and the people I love, and hope to always be. So, in that vein, lifting our glass for those, and it's an old Irish drinking song called "The Parting Glass," and if you haven't heard it, you should check it out. But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night. And joy be to you all. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.